daily parade of controversial in-your-face names for President-elect Donald Trump's cabinet. According to two people close to this situation, President-elect Trump is on the verge of announcing Robert F. Kennedy Jr., the vaccine denier, as his next Secretary of the Department of Health and Human Services.
You know, there's kernels of truth in what he says when he talks about some of the real challenges in our overall medical system. We spend $4.5 trillion on healthcare in the United States, and we don't have very good results to show for that. Some of the worst results, frankly, in the developed world. 70% of chronic disease is preventable, according to some studies, and a lot of that has to do with how we nourish ourselves, the food and the types of food and the toxins in the food and things like that. So, you know, there's, I think, a fair amount of support. I mean, he's not the first person to talk about these issues, but there's no question that not a lot has been done about that. So I think on one...
My name is Glory. I'm a board-certified internal medicine doctor here in the Philadelphia area. And today we're going to be addressing the chronic health epidemic that's facing our country. As many of you know by now, President-elect Donald Trump has appointed RFK Jr. As head of the HHS, which is the Department of Health and Human Services. And in the media, there's been a lot of brouhaha about this choice, and people have mostly been focusing on his views on vaccines. And today I want us to focus on the things that he's been addressing, which is the chronic health epidemic that America is facing. So clearly over the years, whoever's been in charge of the HHS hasn't done a fantastic job in solving the health problems that America is facing. And we cannot continue to ignore these things. So our health has gotten worse, okay? If you look at the facts and the statistics, things have gotten worse over the years. And here are some facts to shock you, okay? America spends $4.5 trillion in healthcare, okay? And most of this, I think over 75%, has been on chronic health problems. And this has gotten worse over the years. So despite how much money we're spending on healthcare, we have some of the worst outcomes in the developed world. And so how can you explain that? And so at this point, I think that we need someone that's going to come in and not play politics and not waste people's times and money, and someone that's going to make actual decisions that are going to make some changes in America. So here it is. Over the years, there's been more chronic health problems in the USA. There's more diabetes, there's more high blood pressure, there's more obesity. There's been more autoimmune diseases, you know, rheumatoid arthritis, Crohn's disease, ulcerative colitis, just many illnesses that you know 10 years back were not common. Look at in children. You see now there's juvenile diabetes in teenagers. There's more and more ADHD and autism in younger children. And why is that? You know, something definitely has gone wrong over the years and needs fixing. And ignoring the problems or focusing on other things like vaccines is not really going to solve the problem. A lot of these chronic medical problems that America is facing more and more over the years are due to the food that we eat. The food that you feed your family and feed your children is making you sick. We are basically poisoning our children with the food that they're eating. How come our food is so poisoned when we have government officials who are in charge of regulating or controlling the things that we consume, like the FDA? So I recently made a video on how our spices are contained or contaminated by lead and arsenic, and no one really seems to be regulating that or making or controlling how much heavy metals can be in our food. Look at heavy metals in baby food, like rice cereals. There's tons of arsenic in it. How come no one's making any regulations on that? So there's a big problem that needs to be solved, and we cannot continue to ignore it. And so far, you know, all the food additives, all the preservatives, and all the toxic ingredients that are in food have not been addressed directly. And companies continue to mass produce this foods and poison our families, our children with it. And so far, what has been done in a way to address the problem is just throw drugs and medications at children and adults. Look at how many kids these days are on antidepressant medications, or taking Adderall, or taking stimulant medications for ADHD and all sorts of illnesses. How many kids today have allergies, peanut allergies, seasonal allergies, all kinds of allergies that were not heard of 10, 20 years ago? You know, if you talk to someone who grew up in America 20, 30 years ago, the amount of allergies that kids these days have, it's alarming. And this is hugely because of the food that we're consuming. Our healthcare system is clearly broken. Our life expectancy has been dropping over the years. Can you take a guess at where America ranks in terms of life expectancy compared to the rest of the developed world? Just take a look. Just take a guess. I mean, we're not even at number 10 or number 20. We're at number 55. And I think at this point it's even 60. So the USA ranks 60th. If you're a parent, you need to be vocal about these things, and you need to be careful what medications are being prescribed to your children. Ask questions. Do not take your doctor's advice at face value. You know, ask questions, do your own research before you commit to medicating your child, okay? So let's really take this seriously.